Hey, Mike. Obviously, a massive fight for you to be back to. They're all massive so far in the UFC. So I know this is one you wanted for a while, Gaethje wanted for a while, and the fans wanted. So to actually have this happen, what's your feeling on it?
Just excited, really. The way the last fight went, both of us, both Justin Gaethje and I, had the opportunity to fight for the title, and that's an opportunity that neither of us took lightly. And I thought the script was written and it was perfect. It was going to work out perfect for me, and it didn't. So that just made me even more hungry. Gave me another opportunity to reflect on myself, my skills, where I need to get better. And over the last 10 weeks, especially down in Sanford MMA, we've cleaned up some things, and it's a big week. It's New York City. It's the Big Apple. Here we are. So let's go, Madison Square Garden.
What was the toughest part to digest coming off the title fight loss? Like you said, you kind of felt like it was meant to be your destiny, and to not have that happen, what's the most difficult part to swallow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just of course you always know you're fighting in a cage against top-level opponents and 4-ounce gloves. Of course, there's always that possibility that bad things are going to happen. You're going to get clipped. But I had the confident expectancy that entire training camp. It just felt like it was perfect. So I think it was just more of the letdown. It was the highest of high. This is where you want to be. You want to fight for that number one slot in the world. And had I won May 15th, I would have been the number one guy in the world, and I would have accomplished that goal. So I think it was more just the hangover from the how high I was on thinking that I was going to win, and then I wasn't. But I had been there before. I lost fights in the past. I've learned some things from those losses. I've learned some things about how to come back from losses and how to deal with losses. And I think truly, that's where your character is really tested. That's where your mettle is really tested in those moments of defeat where you can pull yourself back up. And now I get another opportunity against another top guy in the world, arguably the most exciting guy in mixed martial arts in general, against Justin Gaethje on Saturday night. So the stage is set for another phenomenal night. So.
Yeah, and I mean, if there comes to motivating factors, I imagine a fight with Justin Gaethje, it's hard to not get fired up for that one. So, I mean, what's kind of the feeling towards him going into this fight? You guys have done some interviews. There's been a lot of tweets. Do you like the guy? Do you dislike the guy? What would be your mindset towards him right now?
I like the guy. I do. I think, I'm a fan of the way he works. I'm a fan of what he brings to the competition. How he fights, the ferocity and the passion in which he fights with. He's a promoter's dream. He's a training partner's dream, I'm sure. So we're cut from the same cloth, wrestlers, small town kids, middle class families, scraped and clawed our ways to becoming All-Americans, and now fighting in the top of the division of probably the most exciting division in the UFC. So I got nothing but respect for him. Obviously, when the cage door closes, we're going to go out there and do a job, and that job is going to end with one of us getting our hand raised and probably a handshake after, and nothing but mutual respect, because what the guy's accomplished inside the sport is great.
And last thing from me, what's at stake here? I mean, we know Islam Makhachev made some noise last weekend, and we have the title fight coming up next month. So where do you kind of think this fits in? One would think maybe considering the last fight, maybe you're Dustin Poirier's biggest fan right now, because I assume if you win and he wins, that would put you guys on a pretty good trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, Dustin has said some things and kind of dismissed me in the past, which I get. These guys have been some of these guys have been in the UFC for a very long time. I came in and made a splash, which kind of brings about different emotions from guys. Obviously, I'd love to run it back with Charles Oliveira. I think I beat Charles Oliveira next time we fight after cleaning up a couple things. Justin Gaethje seems to think that he's either been told or has made it up in his mind that he gets the title shot next. So if he's the next in line for a title shot with a win, when I do beat him on Saturday night, I believe I should get the title shot. But shouldas and wouldas and couldas, and I'm not here to make demands. I didn't come to the UFC asking for anything besides an opportunity to prove myself. That's all I wanted. I wanted a top 5 guy to figure out either I am who I say I am or I'm not. I'm one of the top guys or I'm not. So I'm not asking for a title shot after this. I do think when I go out there and decisively beat Justin Gaethje in the manner in which I think I'm going to, I believe it's going to raise some questions. It's going to raise some eyebrows. And we'll see what happens.
Michael, down here. You just said that you have respect for Justin. I think while the fight might change that and there will be a handshake afterwards, at the moment it doesn't seem like he feels quite the same way towards you. Are you surprised at the level of irritation he seems to have towards you, and where do you think that comes from?
No, I think everybody's motivated by different things. Me, I look across the cage. I see a guy my size with 2 arms and 2 legs who's there to do a job, and I'm there to do a job. Same way I looked at wrestling. I never saw names. I never saw opponents. I just saw a body in front of me, and I saw opportunities to score, ways to score, and ways to put points on the board and win the match, win the fight. That's the way I've always looked at it. Obviously, with this, you guys are all here. There's media involved. This is a world stage. There's a lot of fans involved. So people see the emotion side of things. But Justin Gaethje's motivated by looking across the cage and saying, "I want to beat this man. I don't like this man," and that's completely fine. I think there's a mutual respect there behind all of that, behind all of the motivation that he needs to drum up to go out there and beat me on Saturday night. But I just don't look at it that way. I'm motivated by just going out there and doing a job and doing what I've done since I was 14 years old, which is hand-to-hand combat.
We're talking big picture here, and this is way down the road, but it was no secret that you wanted to fight Khabib when you came over here. Is Islam the next best thing?
No, not even close. I mean, are they similar? Absolutely. Are they brothers and teammates? Yes, absolutely. But I mean, what Khabib has accomplished, it wasn't Khabib's skill set. It was the mystique that surrounded Khabib's accomplishments inside the sport, undefeated and making every superhuman guy inside the division look like a mere mortal. I wouldn't say that he's the next best thing whatsoever. I do think he is very good. I do think he is, obviously the way he dispatched Dan Hooker in the first round solidifies himself as a top guy. But when you start comparing those two, he's just not there yet because, this is his first time beating a guy inside the top 10. And Khabib did it for however many years before that. So,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Michael here. You touched upon it a little earlier. You're both high-level wrestling backgrounds from small towns, but how would you compare your MMA wrestling to Justin's? We don't really get to see it much, but I'm sure you see stuff that we aren't aware of when watching tape.
Yeah, he hasn't had to use it much, and that's what makes this fight so exciting. That's what makes this matchup so exciting. That's why I woke up every single morning before my alarm this training camp, because I'm extra motivated, because I know Justin Gaethje's punches aren't anything special. His kicks, probably the best leg kicks in the division or in the world, but I've seen those before. But what you can't measure is a man's heart, his courage, his determination, his willingness to engage past the point of exhaustion, past the point of pain. So that's really the most intriguing aspect of this. But when it comes to wrestling, I've shown it a lot more. Because I've wanted to use it and I've needed to use it, or people talk about, hey, are you going to use your wrestling or you're going to use your striking? For me, we got a loose game plan, of course, but we spend 10,000 hours, in every single facet of mixed martial arts: striking, grappling, wrestling, all the different aspects. And when you're out there, you're not thinking about focusing just on the game plan. You're just reacting and responding to what is presented to you. So whatever presents itself to me, I'm going to take. But I think I've shown it more because I've used it more.
And then Justin has said many times, after his Dustin Poirier loss, he kind of had to reevaluate his mental approach to it. He kind of got a little into the moment, excited, had to focus. But when you're watching him fight, are you still seeing flashes of that wild fighter, the one that fought the Michael Johnsons and the Eddie Alvarez and the Dustin Poiriers? Even in his fights against these, he's putting these away quickly. Are you still seeing flashes of that Justin?
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna take that out of him. But that's the beauty of it. That's why he is who he is. That's why he's in the position that he's in. He's got that. And I think as I've grown as well, I've tried to become a little bit more calculated, a little bit more smart, sharp, a little bit more of a veteran, a little bit more of a calm, cool, and collected and methodical instead of just being a wild man. Because you guys have seen my previous fights or back in the day, man, just come forward with reckless abandon. But the beautiful thing is that can't be taught. And that's what coaches will always tell you. That dog, that fighter, that crazy guy inside of you, you can't really instill that into guys. So when you have it, it's much better to have it and hone it than to not have it and try to gain it. So you're never going to take it out of them. I think we start off a little bit more calm and collected. I mean, neither of us are dumb. We're smart. Like we know how to fight. We're not going to go out there and just try to hit each other as hard as we possibly can nonstop. We're going to be a little bit methodical. But when you start getting into the trenches, when you start settling into the fight, it's going to be a battle of wills. And I think I can match him to it.
And I don't know if the word fear is the proper term, but like you've obviously trained with Kamaru. We've seen the tapes of you scrambling, rolling. He's now obviously training with Justin. Has that changed your approach at all? Like now that they are main training partners too up in Denver?
Kamaru Usman is a narc. No, I'm joking. He did. No. He came. He still lives in Florida. He came and trained with us. Actually, it was the first day of 8 weeks out. So it was like that Monday we do our drills, and he was working out because I was in the gym, or I was in the cage, and he was over there, and I walked up and I was like, "Yo, dude, you a narc?" Because man, Kamaru's a friend of mine, still a friend of the gym, still Henry Hoof's student. Henry Hoof still looks at him as a student. And you can't break that bond. So he's always welcome to come train with us. So he's a friend of mine. He's Justin Gaethje's teammate. The beautiful thing about the sport is as this sport grows and touches every corner of the globe, it's still a very small community. We're all going to fight each other. We're all going to train with each other's. I mean, goodness gracious, Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley fought Kamaru and Robbie Lawler on the same night, and I was training with both of those guys. So it's just how it is. But man, Kamaru is a champion, phenomenal training partner, a wealth of knowledge. He's not a narc.
Hey, Mike, I just had one quick one. It's kind of a silly one, but the internet's going crazy here. Your right arm, is that just part of your shirt there? People are worried it's like some kind of wrap, or is there what do we got going on there?
No, man, that's fashion. No, no, this is actually a designer named Greg Lorin, and he patches these things together, so it's kind of cool. Every single piece is different, but I don't know. I actually kind of liked it. I got together with my stylist Krista, and we talked about kind of the working man mentality. My dad made his living by wearing Carhartts. He's as a union carpenter. I was just talking to Coach Jason Stroud. His dad was a bricklayer. Logan Storley, who's here with me, his dad is a farmer. So, it's kind of a shout out to, even though we're here in the Big Apple, the mecca of fashion here in New York City, still just a working man, blue collar kid from the Midwest.
I like it. So to be clear, not fighting with a broken right arm on.
No, but I would fight with a broken right arm. I've always said if I can walk to the cage, I'll still fight.
Michael, right over here on your left.
Yes.
Another Bellator champion's talking about maybe coming over to the UFC, and AJ McKee. You've been through that process of being in a great position over there and then possibly coming over. What would your advice be to AJ if he's going to come to the table?
It's all up to the individual, of course. AJ is still very young, right? He's 20, 25, 27. I don't know. So he's still young. I mean, it's everybody called it a young man's game. I don't think you're really a true man and hit your prime till you're 30 anyway. So I think he's still younger than that. Longevity in the sport is so important, taking care of your body. But I don't know when his contract is up. Obviously, he just won that tournament. So kudos to him. Hats off to him. But things are different over here. Things are very, very different. So I've seen it. Over the last 13 months, the way things have exploded compared to just the 13 years before that outside of the UFC, it's just different, and that's not a knock on any other organization. The UFC just does it bigger and does it better, and they give you an opportunity. And I wish more fighters inside the organization and more fighters outside of the organization, the media, and everybody saw that, like we see it when we're in the trenches.
Now you put your feet in the water a little bit in the broadcasting. We saw you on the weigh-in show. You did a bit of the pre and post show. Realistically, when is Michael Chandler going to go all in on being the broadcaster?
I don't know. I loved the experience. I didn't do as good as I thought I was going to do, but I'm a pretty hard critic on myself. But they seem to think I did a pretty good job. And obviously, just like anything, it takes a lot of reps. But I love the sport. I would love to represent the UFC on ESPN and do that kind of stuff. But we'll see. I got a lot of fight left in me, a lot of gas left in the tank, and you guys are gonna see that on Saturday night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, we're getting kicked out.